Our elders say, beauty can be a trap and desire can be a grave. A young man once ignored this warning, and what followed was so terrifying. His scar still speaks today. Watch closely, for this is the kiss of death. In a quiet village deep within the heart of Africa, where the mighty baobab tree stood like ancient watchmen, and the evening air still carried the whispers of old stories, there lived a young man named Ken. Ken's heart was good, his hands hardworking, but his spirit carried a loneliness that no work or laughter could cure. Ken had not always been lonely. Once he had known the warmth of a loving home. His parents were renowned throughout the village for their kindness and wisdom. His father, a trader, would often bring back gifts, not just for his own household, but for the children of widows and the elders who had little. His mother, a gentle woman, was always the first to visit a sick neighbor, the first to comfort a crying child. Together, they raised Ken with discipline, respect, and a deep sense of compassion. His parents were a harmonious blend of the modern and traditional. They are devoted Christians who faithfully attend the village church every Sunday. Yet they deeply respect the customs of their forefathers. They believe their faith gave them strength for the future, while their culture gave them roots to the past. They taught him to kneel when greeting elders, to share food with strangers, and never to allow pride to blind his heart. Ken's father often told him, "A man is not measured by what he owns, but by the peace he lives in the heart of others." But fate was cruel. Returning from a trading journey on a rain-slicked highway, both his parents were taken in a terrible accident. Ken was still a boy then, and the loss struck like thunder in the night. The village mourned with him, for they had lost not just two good souls, but pillars of kindness. From that day, Ken grew into manhood alone. Though without his parents to guide him, he carried their teachings within him. He worked diligently, tilling his farm with honest hands, helped his neighbors when they called, and showed respect to all. People said, Ken has the heart of his father and the humility of his mother. Their passing left a void not just in his heart, but in his path to manhood. Ken was left with no guidance, no elders to speak on his behalf, and no family to help him find a wife. In our culture, upon reaching a certain age, it is customary for a man to select his own bride. Alternatively, it is his parents' duty to find him a suitable bride. They will make inquiries about the bride and introduce him to the elders of the bride's family, to share kola nuts and to weave two destinies together. But Ken had no parents to do this for him. He tried to find a wife himself. He approached the families of good women in the village, but they would always ask, "Where are your elders? Who speaks for you?" And so Ken would have to walk away with his head bowed in shame. But loneliness, my friends, is a dangerous companion, for it can drive even the wisest heart into the arms of death. Feeling disconnected from the old ways, Ken turned to the new world. On his phone, he found dating apps, He scrolled through pictures and profiles, hoping to find a connection his village could not provide. For many moons, he had no luck, until one evening a profile shimmered on his screen. Her name was Gold. Her beauty stole the breath from his chest. She had her hair like a dark flowing river at midnight, and her eyes seemed to hold a mysterious depth. Skin that glowed, even through the dimmed light of his phone screen. They began to talk, and her voice was like a gentle melody, calming his restless soul, as if she already knew the song of his heart. She was soft-spoken, intelligent, and seemed to understand him perfectly. In his mind, Ken thanked the spirits for finally leading him to his perfect match. His best friend Joe, a practical man rooted in tradition, warned him, "Brother, be careful. A fruit that shines too brightly on the outside may sometimes hide worms within." Who is this woman? Who are her parents? Where is her family? Let's make inquiry before you fall too deep. Or beg an elder to inquire about her family, background, and everything about her. But Ken would not listen. But Ken's ears were closed, for his heart was already captured. He arranged to meet Gold at a lovely hotel in the city. The week flew by. Ken polished his shoes, pressed his best clothes, and with Joe's help, dressed for a king. His heart was full of hope. When he saw her in person, oh, she was even more radiant than her picture. She was calm, her smile was warm and charming, and her conversation was enchanting. Her laughter melted his fears. Her words danced in his ears. They ate, they drank palm wine, and they laughed. They both spoke of dreams and futures. Ken felt as though he had finally found the missing piece of his soul and felt completely at ease. In his mind, he envisioned their future together, picturing vibrant attire, rhythmic drums, and the festivities that would accompany their union. While he was falling in love, she observed him closely, examining every word and detail, assessing his weaknesses and considering how best to bring him into her world, a world of darkness. Behind her perfect smile was a hunger, cold, patient, and calculating. The evening ended as they said their goodbyes outside the hotel. Gold pulled Ken close. "Thank you for a wonderful time," she whispered. Then she kissed him softly on the side of his neck. As she did, she gave a little bite. It was just a sharp pinch. Over in a second. Ken, dizzy with infatuation, thought it was just a playful act of affection. A love bite, perhaps, he thought. Nothing more. He smiled, unaware of the poison she had just left behind. But in that single bite, his death had already begun. Ken went home and told Joe everything. "She is the one, Joe. I am sure of it." But 3 days later, that small bite on his neck had changed. It was no longer a love bite. It was an angry, red, and infected wound, throbbing with a pain that felt unnatural, almost alive. Worried, Ken went to the hospital. The doctor examined the wound with a frown. It was like nothing he had ever seen. He took a swab from the festering sore to run tests to find out what kind of organism was growing there. Ken was told to return in a few days. But 3 days later, Ken received an urgent call. Ken, come to the hospital immediately. Ken thought perhaps the infection was nasty and he needed strong medications. But when he arrived, the hospital was swarming with police officers. Their serious faces lined the corridors. They led him into a room where the doctor and a stern police captain waited. The doctor held up a lab report, his hand trembling slightly. Ken, he said, the test shows a dangerous bacterium in your wound. But that is not what worries us the most. The police captain stepped forward. Inside that wound, mixed with infection, we found a human DNA, another person's genetic material. It is as if a piece of someone else's flesh was left inside you and is now rotting. Ken's blood ran cold. He explained everything about his date with Gold, including the kiss and the bite. He gave them her name and the address she had given him. The police rushed to Gold's apartment. It was empty and spotless, so clean it felt sterile and unlived in. It was a shell. However, during their search, they discovered a single crumpled receipt in a drawer for a rent paid on another apartment located in a quieter, darker part of the city. And that was where the nightmare awaited. The police officers raced to this second address as the sun began to set. They broke down the door. The smell that hit them was a horrific mix of expensive perfume and cooking meat. And there she was, Gold. She was sitting at a table, poised and elegant as ever, smiling softly, but on the plate in front of her, steaming hot in a bowl, it was not chicken, not goat, and not beef. It was human flesh. She looked up, her beautiful eyes wide with surprise but no fear. The refrigerator hummed in the background while the police searched the flat in horrified silence. In her refrigerator, they did not find normal food. They found plastic containers, neatly stacked and labeled. In them were human parts, fingers, sections of skin, pieces of organ, all portioned out like meals for the week or leftovers. The officers froze, for in that moment they realized they were not catching a woman, they were staring into the face of a monster. Gold was arrested immediately. She did not cry, she did not fight or struggle. She only looked at them with calm, beautiful eyes and smiled. When the news reached Ken, his world shattered. The woman he dreamt of marrying was a monster, an Obanje perhaps, or a witch who fed on the flesh of men. He collapsed to the ground and darkness took him. The police soon made a grisly connection. The DNA they found in Ken's wound and the body found in Gold's freezer matched that of another young man reportedly missing by his family over a week ago. He too had met a beautiful woman on a dating app. He too had gone for a perfect date, but he never came home. Gold had been feasting on him piece by piece. Ken survived, but he was forever changed. The physical wound on his neck healed, leaving only a scar, but his spirit carried a deeper scar that would never fade. He finally understood his friend's warning and recognized the voice of tradition. He learned a terrible, painful lesson about the shadows that lurk behind perfect appearances. and the dangers of ignoring the old ways for the tempting but hollow connections of the new world. He finally understood that true safety and true love are found not in secret digital conversations, but within the safe, embracing light of a community that knows your name and your history. Always listen to the concerns of those who genuinely care for you. They often see what love blinds us to. Some beauty hides a graveyard. Some kisses carry death. Let this story be a caution. Do not be so eager to find love that you walk blindly into the waiting arms of a monster.